Hi everyone, my name is James Feeney. Welcome to or back to my channel. Today I'm here with a deck walkthrough of the Sustain Yourself Oracle or Cards and Handbook to Live Well and Live Long by James Wanless. And I mentioned this in my last favorites video from a few days ago, and somebody asked actually for a walkthrough, and that was something I was contemplating, so it coincided really well. I decided it would be something to do, and I think that there's not too much out there on this. I believe maybe I forget if I even saw a walkthrough on this, but I haven't heard it spoken about so much, so I figured it would actually be me offering something that's not so prevalent or out there right now. So we're going to do a walkthrough. We'll get over to my tarot table in a second for that, but I also thought it would be fun to do a sample reading from the book. This book is really great, by the way, so there's a lot in here on working with the cards, what it means to be sustainable in terms of like a social, interpersonal, personal type sense, and so it really focuses on all aspects of life, not just sustainable as in the environment and the ecology around us. And so I like that more holistic view of sustainability, in that things like social justice and personal human rights are factored into sustainability in society, which I think is really important. Sorry for the tangent, but we're going to do, let me find this reading that I wanted to do. I think we're going to do the State of the World reading. That's what it is. I thought that that would be really applicable right now. So it's the State of the World reading, sustainable environments. Pick a card for the sustainable conditions of your own world or the world at large. So you have things like your relationships and international relations, your work, your world economy, your money and global finances. So it's kind of like a juxtaposition between your personal microcosm versus the macrocosm that is the world. And looking at those things, I think just given the chaotic and fluctuating state of affairs going on in the world at large, that would be a fun reading to do. There are tons of readings in here, like the Synergy reading. There's a Terra Firma reading, which is about really looking at your core foundations. There's a Four Elements reading. There's the sustainability journey. All different words, like it's not sustainability, it's sustainability. And that's about self-navigation. We have the Green Leaves reading, which is really more intuitive with no card position. So there are a lot of spreads in this book. Likewise, the definitions for each card, while short, are really helpful and thought-provoking. So I'm going to hopefully show you guys a little bit when we get over to the table, but I'm going to go over there. We're going to go through all 101 cards. They're not in order, I apologize. They came in alphabetical order, which is how the book goes through them, but to alphabetize 101 cards was just a lot, so they're going to be in all sorts of orders. So yeah, we'll head over to the table, and then after the walkthrough, there will be the reading, which will also be at the table. So if you want to hang around for that, please feel free to, and I'll see you guys over there. guys, so we're gonna do the sample reading now. And it is on page... The State of the World, so on page 28, you guys can get a sense of how this goes. And those are the spread positions. So it's really about looking at the broader ecology of both, say, yourself and the environment, things on a more macroscopic level. So this should be fun. I'm going to be referencing the book as we do this. It's my first time doing this reading as well, so let's see how it goes. So for our first card, we have your relationships and international relationships. So it doesn't give you much in terms of information and how you're meant to really go about this. So it could be that I'm supposed to pull one card for each to kind of contrast or compare the two, or that there's one card that's supposed to exemplify both. I'm getting the feeling that we're going to pull one card for each and look at how, say, my day-to-day or my personal relationships compare to global ones. This deck does clump together. It's a bit hard to shuffle, I will say. Alright, so this is for me and for the world. Okay, so these are really different cards. And since this is a walkthrough, we're getting to know the deck, I'll actually pull up the meanings for us, especially because I'm relatively new to this deck as well. Maybe that'll help us. So we have Vision and the Eagle. So it would be under Eagle as far as the alphabetical order goes for the keywords. The eye of the eagle, see as far as a visionary, yet maintain focus and strike with unerring accuracy. Survey from the heights, I can't read. Survey from the heights, look into the doable future with a discerning eye, always in the hunt of your quest. Don't lose touch with your high-minded intention. Take flight, go the distance. Something about reading on camera really gets to me. Alright, so this is in terms of my personal relationships. So we could say that it's more about perspective and observing than it is about interacting. So maybe taking a step back and deciding to be the one who listens and takes stock of what it is that's going on instead of being a creator or one to interact and really get things going. So taking a step back is what I'm getting from this card. And then after properly and adequately assessing things, stepping in where and when needed. And then for memory, as far as the global relationships go, so that would be under DNA. Okay, DNA memory. Inheritor of the vast treasury of evolutionary history. Remember all of your resources and gifts. You are born with genes and genius, with eons-old earth wisdom that crosses all the domains and species of nature and human cultures, races, and geography. Know the traits of your own immediate family DNA, but realize that it's dynamic for you. For you are changing and evolving in this very epigenetic moment. You are not a victim or victorious, simply by predetermined ancestry. So that's really interesting. In terms of global relationships, I think that it really has a lot to do with that ever-evolving idea of being, say, a global citizen or somebody who is a part of a larger whole, with the interconnectedness that we're facing, especially when we're all facing a common issue or there's a thread that pervades throughout all, and we turn to each other for help and realize that we aren't so different from our neighbors and those all the way across the world, and that DNA is really a common factor that we have that is almost essentially the same between all of us, despite the differences that some like to find or try to find in others. And so I think that's really beautiful, that interconnectedness. And then I would look at this, say, as I think these two kind of reside very separately, and it's clear that this to me feels very much like it's talking about my personal relationships and this about a global scale. and mostly because I pulled them for those purposes, but it's interesting to look at the two. All right, so we did that. We're going to go over into the next position, which is your work and then the world economy. So let us see. Let me properly put these in the middle. All right. Oops, sorry. All right. My work and the world economy. Interesting. Okay, I'm not sure that I'll go into the guidebook for all of them for the sake of time. For this one, I actually have really, I guess, feelings on them immediately, more intuitively. So for my personal work, we have longevity, the turtle, and for me, this feels a lot like a going the distance sort of thing, almost like a chariot moment, but one that is, there's no immediate gratification to be had. It really is about the journey. The work itself is what is important as opposed to a destination or a goal to be reached. And so I'm viewing it quite like that. I'm also thinking that there's a lot still yet to be done, and that will continue to be the case for quite some time. So this is a little bit validating in that it exemplifies my idea of what I want my work to be as a journey that's ongoing. So next we have the global economy. So we have ergonomic and a Peapod, and to me, I'm automatically thinking of the agricultural system and food and resources, things that are grown, and imports and exports, and the whole idea of sustaining various countries in a time that is of unrest. I think I've recently seen a lot of certain farms and areas that produce or have crops and various things not even being able to, almost like having too much of a given resource. And I think a lot of it has to do with the sort of faulty system that we have, where instead of giving away those resources to those in need, when we have the surplus, we are allowing them to go to waste. And so it's really about understanding, I'm seeing it as far as a global economy, understanding human morals as opposed to bureaucracy or structural paradigms that we view to potentially be right or wrong. We have to really get in touch with that economy in order to, not in touch with that economy, get in touch with our morals to sort through an economy that's sustainable and life-giving and right in a way. That's immediately what popped into my head, at least. All right, moving on, next we have your money and global finances. My money, investigation, cave, and the global finances. Okay, we have vision again. I hope I'm pretty sure I'm shuffling decently well, and I'm picking from random spots in the deck, so I'm not thinking it's due to lack of shuffling. All right, so for my personal finances, we have investigation and cave. I think this is really about going deeper and understanding what is available to me. I think caves look intimidating. You can never tell quite how large they are, so there is this element of deception, or if one is within a cave, seeing a light but feeling as though you're surrounded by darkness at the same time, and that light is other. It's a gateway into the outside world, and it can feel maybe unobtainable. For example, I'm thinking a bit of Plato's cave, that allegory, where someone inside the cave, knowing only the shadows on the walls, cannot imagine what the world is outside. That's so foreign and unknown to them, and it's almost disbelief. There's an element of disbelief in being told of what sits outside of the cave. And so I think with my personal finances, I feel drawn to to think of it in that way, and that there's a lot more that I'm not tapping into or that's out there that I need to explore and find for myself, that just knowing of these things is much different than experiencing or seeing them for myself. And for the global finances, we have vision. And with this one, I'm thinking of this more so in terms of making use of what we've got and not squandering it, of things like debt and the idea of currency almost being a digital manufactured idea. It's more of a construct at this point than it is a tangible resource, and that if we are smarter, if we choose to look at it and change our perspectives, that we can have it work for us as opposed to working for it. And so I think it's about being smarter, of understanding that it's a system that we've created, and instead of allowing it to run us as we currently are, understanding that we are the creators and that we can run it and have it work in our favor, especially during times of struggle like this. All right, so next we have your home and your country. So my personal household and the household that is, I guess, the United States, both of which I might argue are a little bit chaotic at the moment. All right, my household. We have ignition, lightning. And the country. We have desire, tulips. I guess we'll use the book for this one so we can get a little bit more of a sense of it. So ignition, lightning. So we look up lightning in the book. Lightning, ignition. Awaken, alert and aware, come alive. Be an electric firebrand. Kindle, trigger, excite, stimulate, set afire, spark the passion, jumpstart desire. Instigate and inflame. Get a move on and take charge with the life force that thunders, enlightens, and enlivens. Reveal and revolutionize. Swiftly now, act with urgency of impulse. Do it and exclaim. No premeditation, no doubt, no hesitancy. And so in terms of my own household, I think that this is speaking to maybe the volatility, or the fact that there is really more so that potential energy as opposed to kinetic, everybody being cooped up and there being a monotony to the days that seem to droll on, and that all of that can change with an action, choosing to stand against inertia or to combat it through action. And that action can be anything. It can be swift, and the series of events that follow are exciting and unknown. And I think that this is really a kick in the butt of sorts to break out of that sort of complacency and boredom. Next, for the world, the country, not the world, the country, for the state of the country as a home, as the idea of a home, we have desire, tulips. So we'll look that one up. Tulips, desire. You are primal and instinctual. Obey your desires. Pursue your seductions. Expose what you want. Mate with life. Show your colors. Reveal your essence. Wear your finest. You are primed and impassioned for magnetizing and receiving. Excited and expectant. Full of heated hope. You are the undeniable power of attraction and allure. Under your spell of the sensuous, you evoke craving, longing, and yearning. Your influence inspires and inflames. I personally think that this has to do with transparency and a lack thereof, and a need for it to say succeed. I think that the US in some ways can set precedents and holds influence in a way through its actions, and that conducting itself in a way that is upstanding and admirable and conducive for growth and effective change on a global scale would be really helpful. So to step up to the plate, so to speak, be more transparent, make the proper adjustments and changes to then say, hopefully influence more effectively and positively change on a global scale. And that's how I'm choosing to look at this desire, tulips. So I think we're at our final position, and that is your environment, social, work, family, and or community / nature. So this is kind of a mix between that micro and macroscopic environment. The idea of one's environment is very subjective, and they haven't specified to what scale that... Oh, wow. Okay. No. I think that was just... At first I was going to take the jumper, but I'm like, no, I think that was just there because of having pulled it previously. I'm really trying to randomize these because they do tend to clump. Separate them. All right. Sorry, I think the phone is ringing downstairs. All right. The environment. Opportunity, snake. All right, I'm not going to use the book for this one. Right away, I'm thinking of, say, the warming of the weather, of the resources available and allotted during this time. It's, of course, subjective, and I don't think that this is the time, say, of productivity or a time where anybody should feel pressured to do anything. But if I have that energy and inclination, I really should take advantage of the multitude the multitude of things at my disposal, things that I want to do and read and can accomplish from home, things that I might not have had time to do otherwise. So my environment right now is highly conducive for creative endeavors and for furthering my own ends, and to think of it as a snake might in an opportunistic way that is highly natural, very neutral. So that's how I'm choosing to see this. So that brings us to the end of that reading. I hope you guys enjoyed that sample reading and it gave you an idea of the sorts of things you might find in this book, how you might go about using this deck. Until next time, like and subscribe if this was of interest and you found it enjoyable or helpful, and until next time, bye everyone.